Good evening. My name is Edwin Tjiramba, and I head up marketing and stakeholder engagements here at the GIPF, the fund. And this evening, I have invited over a colleague of mine, Mr. Ignatius Manyando, that double name, in a conversation with our members and the public out there about the benefits the fund provides. Mr. Manyando, can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do here at the fund?
Good evening, Edwin, and thank you very much. Good evening to the viewers out there. My name is Ignatius Manyando. Yeah, that's so famous double name. I'm the manager of annuities at the GIPF, and I'm primarily responsible for annuity well-being. In that we take care of the pensioners, spouses and child annuitants. We are the guys who make sure that they get paid on time, and good evening to the viewers. Deductions are made. So in a nutshell, we're just here to give some clarity on burning issues that have been
when you say annuitants, annuities, manager annuities. What is this buzzword annuities you keep talking about?
Annuities is essentially it's us referring to the various pensioners that we have. Now we have
There are those who say the GIPF death after retirement benefit is truly there only meant to benefit those members who are married pensioners, who have a living spouse, so is that the case? What happens? What happens to their monies should they pass on? Those who say, does this remain with the GIPF? Does this after retirement go back to government? Can you please clarify some of these issues for us?
Yeah, thank you very much, Edwin. I think that is a very burning question. But before answering that question, it's important that people understand the type of scheme that the GIPF is. The GIPF scheme is a defined benefit scheme, in that you can't really say what happens to my money. It's a defined benefit in that your benefits are guaranteed. They are predefined in the rules of the fund. So immediately when you become a member, we are in a position to tell you what you would stand to benefit down the line, say at age 60, because it's based on a formula that takes into account your years of service, your pensionable salary as well, and of course the actuarial factor. Now, it's guaranteed in that no matter what happens, your benefits are guaranteed and they're secure. Now, as opposed to a DC fund, whereby what you get out is defined by your own contributions, your contributions by your employers, as well as any losses or interest gains that you may get. Now, the way in that fund, no matter what happens, to answer your question, benefits are guaranteed and they're secure. We can't say it's now meant as opposed to a DC fund, whereby you are a single member. What you get out is defined by your own contributions, your contributions by your employers, as well as any losses or interest gains that you may get. Now, the way in that fund, no matter what happens, to answer your question, benefits are guaranteed and they're secure. We can't say it's now as opposed to a DC fund, whereby you are a single member and what you get out and vehicles bump it all at the same time. Possibly insurance wouldn't be able to cover that. But it's because there are individuals vehicles bump at some point all at the same time. They do not put in claims. and then the other individuals actually put in claims. And that cross-subsidization, because they are individuals vehicles bump at some point as a social put in claims, and then the other individuals actually that it looks at the well-being, and that cross-subsidization overall they are individuals vehicles bump at some point as a social put in claims, and then the other social fund actually and then it looks at the well-being, and that cross-subsidization overall they are individuals vehicles bump at some point as a social put in claims, and then the other social fund actually look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and that process overall they are other years at some as a social now and then other social fund and then look at the world and then 5 years and you're still alive, then you basically, for a lack of better words, you reap the benefits of still being alive, and from the fund we will continue to pay you from the fund. So you will have this benefit for life, and like I said before, usually there are yearly increases. So you don't have to worry about never getting paid. You can be rest assured that you are in a defined benefit and your benefits are guaranteed for as long as you live. So after the 5 years, we have people who have been on retirement for 17, 20 plus years. And these are people who still continue to enjoy that benefit. Yeah.
Let's, some of our members have a question regarding, say, me and my spouse, we both work for government. If the one person dies, does the other one get the benefit, or does it only mean only the spouse of somebody who is not working for government at the time will get that benefit?
No, the benefit is available to both of them. Now, either spouse is an entity on their own. By virtue of them being a member of the fund and contributing to the GIPF fund, they qualify for those benefits in their own category. So if one spouse should pass away, it has no bearing on the membership of the other spouse. The other spouse will receive the spousal pension as well as a lump sum, and then that monthly annuity will carry them throughout life until death. Now, you need to understand that, like I said, it doesn't affect their other part, in that they will remain a member, also covered for death, also covered for disability, for ill health. So should any ill befall them, their children will also benefit from that. And funny enough, some don't actually know that the children would actually benefit from the one spouse. Say their father, they would benefit a monthly income from their father. And on death of the mother, they would still benefit that other side as well. So they are two separate benefits to the both of them. Yeah.
You keep talking about guaranteed, a guaranteed benefit, a defined benefit fund which benefits are guaranteed. This guarantee must be coming from somewhere. Who provides this guarantee, and in what form is this guarantee made?
Okay, the guarantee To better explain it, if you look at it, the fund, like I mentioned before, is a defined benefit fund, in that your benefits are guaranteed no matter what happens, even more so now during the times of COVID. People in DC funds may not have so much comfort, because if the markets are volatile and they're not doing well and there are losses, it trickles down to your, what they call your fund credit, meaning what you stand to get out is lesser. While that is the opposite with the GIPF. It's guaranteed in that the fund continues to make prudent investments. We are always thinking of the long term for our members. So we make investments that we know in the long run we will be able to meet the liabilities of the fund. And the liabilities are referred to the benefits that are due to our members. But in the unlikely event that it so happens that the fund is unable to meet the benefits of the members, or unable to meet its liability, then the guarantee now kicks in. The employer now steps in, and then they make right that disparity between what you were promised and what you should actually get. Now, that's the beauty of a defined benefit fund, because the risk doesn't lie with you as a member. It actually lies with the employer. So if the fund isn't doing well, we are unable to pay you, the employer kicks in. The DC fund, on the other hand, the risk lies with you as a member. So if markets are volatile and everything is lost, you stand to lose, you go home with absolutely nothing.
Okay. So now we are talking about this period. Now tell me, Manyando, what happens to the benefit of a member who dies within that guaranteed period of the 5 years, but who unfortunately their spouse have passed on before they do? Okay, what happened to those benefits?
Thank you for that one, Edwin. What would happen if a member dies within the 5 years? If we were to look at it more practically, I think with an example, if someone retires and in their second year of retirement, they retire at age 60, and at 62 they pass away. So what would happen is that the guarantee period runs until age of 65. We would then work out what they would have been paid had they been alive up until the age of 65. Now that would then be distributed in accordance with now Section 37C of the Pension Fund Act to their beneficiaries and dependents. And if they have no beneficiaries and dependents or nominees, then that would obviously then be paid over to the Master of High Court for the benefit of their estate.
And then we turn to the whole issue of retirement, whether I choose to retire early or I retire within the normal retirement age, which is 60. Now, there is this, what is the benefit I tend to get at retirement? What is it as a member that I will get?
So at retirement, be it at early retirement, or at age 60, which is normal retirement, or even late retirement in some instances, what you stand to get is a 1/3 benefit. So essentially what a 1/3 is, it's a once-off tax-free lump sum. So that you will get into your bank account, and the taxman does not touch that. So you can take that with you home, and then you can have obviously a very wonderful retirement and relax. And then on top of that, the 2/3 is then used so that you can actually get this monthly annuity for life. And on top of that, you can opt to also have medical aid. And then, on the health aspect, then you are sorted. So you do get the 1/3 and then the monthly pension for life, subject to increases as the trustees may deem fit.
Now, some members will ask you, now, Manyando, why don't we as members get the 2/3 up front, and then you can keep the 1/3 for life annuity?
That's a very nice one, Edwin. But if you look at it, the issue of 1/3 and 2/3 is not a GIPF rule or a GIPF scheme issue. That is basically a compliance issue. It's under the Income Tax Act, which basically all pension funds are subjected to. with the exception of provident funds where actually you can withdraw the entire benefit. We are all subjected to that as pension funds, that on retirement, the member is entitled to a 1/3 lump sum, and the 2/3 is used for their, for their monthly income, be it for the rest of their life. Now, you also need to understand, say if hypothetically we were to perhaps the Income Tax Act would allow for a member to access their 2/3 as opposed to a 1/3. You need to understand it would come with implications as well. Now, some risk benefits such as death, such as funeral cover that members enjoy now may have to be revised, because those are risk benefits that there is a cost that has to be paid for them. Now, the cost being taken out of a 2/3 is marginal as opposed to taking it out of a 1/3. So we need to look at it that way, but in a nutshell, it is a compliance issue. It's not a GIPF issue. All pension funds are subjected to it.
Some understand that the 1/3 is that's what constitutes my contribution as an employer, as an employee, and the 2/3 is in essence the contribution of the employer. Is that right?
No, that wouldn't be right. It's far from the truth. The employee under the GIPF scheme contributes a minimum of, or rather a maximum of 7%, while as the employer contributes 16%. So if you were to quickly do the math, 7%, if you were looking at it as 2/3 being the employers, it would be 14% instead, as opposite to 16. So it isn't that. It's calculated based on a formula, as I mentioned before. So that formula takes into account your years of service, how long you have worked, what your current earnings are, as well as the actuarial factor. Now, you can't now say this is my contribution 7% and we are giving you that. No, that isn't right.
And at resignations, what are the benefits and what are the disadvantages of somebody resigning, especially shortly before they are about to retire?
Now, Edwin, with that one, I would like to address it in a more practical manner. At resignation, it always looks so lucrative when you are close to retirement and you look at your benefit statement and you're like, wow, that 2 million looks like a very decent amount of money. And if I were to retire, I only stand to receive a lump sum of 1/3. Say, essentially, we're looking at 600,000. And you are looking at 2 million and you're like, man, 2 million sounds like a very good number. But you need to understand, if you take that 2 million, you will obviously transfer it. Now, there are broker fees involved, there's administration fees involved. And most importantly, when you withdraw that cash and you take it for yourself, the taxman will have their hand into that. So after all these fees are done and the tax is also taken from you, you might realize that what you are left with, as opposed to had you rather taken a 1/3 that is tax-free and a monthly income, you would have been better off. But so you lose out on the benefit of having this life annuity. Now, more so than in most cases, what we have seen is that individuals say they will transfer this benefit to another fund to save for retirement. More so than often, they don't. They usually want to access these funds for immediate spending. Could find themselves in a financial pickle. They want to resolve their home loans. They want to resolve their car loans, all really just to make do. Now, come retirement, they have nothing. They do not have this monthly income, and the quality of life drastically reduces. Now, the one other benefit that you will lose out is the medical aid benefit. Because if you had the medical aid benefit, in order for you to qualify, if you are a GIPF member, it means you are a member of the government or participating prestatals. And most of those are members of the CMAS the GRN medical aid. So essentially what that means is on retirement, they can opt to continue with that medical aid.
Yes.
When you resign and take away your funds from the GIPF, you are unable to then continue with that medical aid, and you lose out on medical cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you touch on a very important point there, especially about the beneficiaries, as somebody who might be able to benefit under your medical aid. But within the fund, does the fund prescribe whom I can nominate as my beneficiaries? And if I have so nominated somebody as a beneficiary, what is the role of the fund's board of trustees in disposing of what is on my beneficiary nomination list?
No, the fund does not prescribe to you who you can nominate or who you can designate as your beneficiary. That is solely undertaken under Section 37C of the Pension Funds Act. Now, under that act, it dictates that, look, if a member is to pass away, it will let you know who qualifies to be a beneficiary and how. So the fund does not dictate to members on how they ought to nominate, but the trustees come in so that they ensure the benefits are distributed equitably, of course under the supervision of the Pension Funds Act. Now, we have seen situations where you would find people are like, then what is the point of me having a nomination form if the trustees are basically going to exercise their discretion? Now, you need to understand that many a times people may not necessarily understand the implications. If the nomination form was cast in stone, it would mean you may have minor children, you may have a spouse, and you proceed to only nominate your brothers, your sisters, cousins at the expense of your children. Now, what the trustees do is they look at the picture holistically. Who was actually dependent on you, be it factual or legal dependence? Who needs that assistance more, as opposed to some of the people you may have nominated? Because if we go to the nomination, then it may affect the people who actually need the help more.
Is there a systematic way that the fund goes about to determine that dependency? Who makes that call, and how is that call made?
I mean, there's a general, there is a systematic way that it's done industry-wide. In that when you look at dependency, initially you look at the very immediate people of the immediate relatives of the member. In that I refer to the children. Children can either be legal dependents if you are legally obliged to care for them. If they are minors, then they are legal dependents. It could be children who are over the age of majority but are still in school. It could be a nephew who you have been raising for as long as you can remember. Now that nephew could actually constitute a factual dependent. So we look at, when we look at these individuals, we look at their relationship to you. What type of help were you offering? Were you giving them rent-free accommodation? Were you taking care of their well-being in general? So all those elements, it's not exhaustive, but there are some typical ones that we look at.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I think what we wanted to zero in this evening was most of our members' concern with regard to really the either retiring early or normal retirement, and especially the benefits, death after retirement within the fund. And next time we will also look at death while in service and what some of those benefits are. So perhaps maybe you have a few things you wanna reiterate or you want to touch on, especially with regard to what we have seen recently in the social media with the calls for people to resign and to access their money and.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I think what people need to look at is that when you are being advised by someone to transfer your money because at retirement, should you die after 5 years and you're single, then that money goes to no one, they should look at it this way. If I'm giving you advice and I stand to benefit from that advice, it may be in a form of commission, then perhaps I'm not looking at it from a point of your own well-being. I may be looking at it from my own self-interest for the commission that comes with it. Now, we are currently undergoing COVID for quite some time now. Now, ask yourself this: have you been scared that, look, I'm gonna die, so let me sell my house? Let me sell my house so I can spend my money right now. Let me sell my house so I can travel the world. Well, you can't even travel most of the world anymore because I'm gonna die tomorrow. No, you remain steadfast with the hope that tomorrow is going to be better. Now, you do not go into retirement with the thought that I'm going to die in the next 2 years. You go in retirement as a moment of solitude to go and relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And that's what this fund provides. Secondly, if you allow me, you need to think of it this way. You mentioned death in service. Now, and I earlier mentioned that GIPF is more of a social fund and a cross-subsidization fund. Now, someone can join employment and become a member of the fund today and die 2 weeks later. Now, that members might be married and may have children. And on average, what we see is 3+ children. Now, those children will get a monthly annuity until the age of 25, provided they're in school after 18. The spouse will get a pension for life. Now, you need to ask yourself the question, where does that money come from? This person just joined for 2 weeks. The fund hasn't even received their first contribution, but they are eligible for these benefits. That is what we are referring to when we say this fund takes care of everyone, not individuals. So collectively. And it's wrong for people to want to think of these benefits as perpetual. We can't pay benefits forever and ever to your children and their children's children. It's more to assist people for the time that they also, for children until they are majors and until they are on their feet. And for the spouse, because of that loss of support that they had from their spouse. But it can't continue in perpetuity.
It's a live session, and we might have questions coming from our live feeds. So let's also allow some of those questions to come through and to see how you can respond to them.
Great.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you very much, Manyando. There's a burning cry to actually revisit the top 6 questions that you started with. A lot of people did join a little late, so if we could just revisit them, please entertain us. Thank you.
Okay, we will quickly just scan through them. The first bone of contention is the fact that there is a perception out there that the death after retirement benefits of the GIPF really truly benefits members if they are married, if they actually die within the guaranteed period, and also the fact that they might have children. So maybe just elaborate a little bit on that assertion, and also just tell us what is that benefit in that space.
Okay. Thank you. To the viewers who just joined, well, look, that isn't the correct assertion. The fund is a fund that caters to all the members. Now, it's a cross-subsidization fund in that one member supports another member, so to speak. Now, this benefit, if you are single and you die within the guarantee period, would work out a benefit that would have been due to the member had they not passed away up to the 5th year. And then that would be paid over to the beneficiaries. Now, if they die after 5 years, that is after the guarantee period, then the benefit ceases because it's a life annuity. It's tied to the individual's life. Now, one might say, why? Because they have possibly relatives who are still alive. Now, not all things can balance in life, but the assumption is, and has always been industry-wide, you are expecting that by the time someone retires, the children would have been out of school, or rather in varsity. So they should be self-sustaining. If there is no spouse, then really there are no individuals who are immediate or who are entitled to the dependency from this member. Therefore, that benefit ceases. But you need to also look at it holistically. You can't just look at it from the perspective of that one member who passes away. There are many members, single, who live past the 5 years and they enjoy the benefit of having this lifelong benefit. Similarly, when I mention the word holistically, you need to look at it at the angle of individuals who are still in active service and actually pass away. Now these members, beneficiaries, spouses, children, they benefit, they withdraw before even reaching retirement. So in a nutshell, it caters for everyone. We can't single out a single member who dies after the guarantee period. The fundamental question is what happens if the member lives for 20, 30 years longer? What happens then? They need that income that will take care of them.
Or they join the fund but die shortly after joining without necessarily having even made a single contribution, but they are admitted into the fund and the benefit they stand to get.
Exactly. So if a member now joins, we just alluded to this, if a member joins and they join today, they are a member of the fund, and let's not even take it far, and tomorrow they meet their demise and they're no longer there, then it means they are equally entitled to these benefits and they have not contributed a single amount. Now, this is where we say it's a cross-subsidization fund. It's a fund that looks at everyone holistically, because you need to ask yourself, where are these funds coming from? Now, if you were to take it and look at it to say, the member who passed away, if they were earning 100,000 per annum, that translates to 200,000 lump sum. They haven't contributed anything yet. Now that 200,000 lump sum will be paid out to their beneficiaries. On top of that, the spouse and the children will receive an annuity. Now you need to ask yourself, where is this money coming from? Because there are some other members, investments aside, there are some other members who have been contributing and they haven't withdrawn all these years. So that's essentially how it works. We can't look at it from the one angle without looking at it from the other angle.
And I guess for the benefit of the members who also just joined, I would like you to recap the conversation about the 1/3 vis-a-vis the 2/3 benefit at retirement, whether it's early or normal retirement, with the assertion that some people say, but give me the 2/3 up front. I have a lot of problems, I have a lot of things to take care of, and just keep the 1/3. What will this fund say to that?
Okay, well, yeah, there has been some misconceptions that the GIPF dictates to the members that you can only take the 1/3 and the 2/3 needs to remain. But as I alluded to earlier, it's actually a compliance. It is the law under the Income Tax Act. The Income Tax Act, to which all pension funds are prescribed to, if you may, for a lack of better words, it dictates that on retirement an individual can only access up to a maximum of 1/3, and the 2/3 should be used to sustain them as they go into retirement. Now remember, come retirement, you no longer have a source of income, and most people don't actually take out any extra retirement annuity out there. So their only source of income would be from the pension fund. Now the 2/3 is there to ensure that it still gives you a comfortable life, as opposed to you taking the 2/3 and leaving the 1/3. Your monthly annuity will be reduced drastically. Now, we are all aware of how things continue to increase expenses and all that, living expenses. So the 1/3 it wouldn't make sense for you to leave on 1/3 because it will be too little. Now, as well as the other benefits that you'd be entitled to, because when you're on retirement, you're still entitled to a funeral cover. So some of these would have to be reviewed. Perhaps that a funeral cover may even have to be reduced because it's a risk benefit, and that risk cost needs to come from your 2/3, which makes more sense than getting it from the 1/3.
Let's see whether there were any other questions that came through the feed.
Manyando, can you kindly just elaborate on the term annuities?
Okay, annuities is essentially a periodic income. It's an income that comes periodically. It could be in perpetuity, it could be until some life event happens. Now, in the case of GIPF, when we refer to annuities, we are referring to the monthly income that is paid, be it either to retired members, to spouses of deceased members, to children, or members who are on disability or ill health. So essentially, that monthly income that comes is what is described as an annuity.
And what is an annuitant?
An annuitant are the individuals who stand to receive this annuity. So essentially, you can look at what the fund has is we have a child annuitant, who is a child who receives a benefit on a monthly basis from GIPF, or otherwise. It could be a spouse who equally receives a monthly pension from the GIPF. So essentially, annuitants would be the children, the spouses, members on disability or ill health who receive a monthly income.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. There are no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manyando, and we'll invite you again for another conversation, definitely soon.
Thank you, Edwin. It was wonderful. Thank you.